morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this press conference in the session hall of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences. Delighted that all of you have come, and I'm sure you're eager to meet this year's Nobel laureates and ask them questions. So let me just first introduce our new laureates. Next to me is Professor Duncan Haldane from Princeton University in the USA. And next to him, Professor Michael Kosterlitz from Brown University, also of the USA. Professors Haldane and Kosterlitz are this year's Nobel laureates in physics. Professor David Thowles is not participating in the press conference due to health reasons, but he's here and will participate in the prize award ceremony. Then we have, next to Professor Kosterlitz, our three Nobel laureates in chemistry, Professor Jean-Pierre Sauvage, Sir Fraser Stoddart, and Professor Ben Ferinka from Strasbourg, Northwestern University in Chicago, and University of Groningen in the Netherlands. And then, last but not least, the laureates of the Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences, Professor Oliver Hart of Harvard University, and Professor Bengt Holmström of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. My name is Göran Hansen, I'm the Secretary General of the Academy. So, the idea is you ask questions, we have not prepared any statements or speeches, so it's your show. Who would like to start? Please.
I would like to...
If you can state your name.
Yes, my name is Johan Schick from Dagens Nyheter in Stockholm. I would like to ask the economic laureates what you think about the economic policies as far as we know at the moment of Donald Trump. I know that Professor Hart has had strong opinions before, and I guess that Professor Holmström has some opinions as well.
Thank you, Bengt, for letting me go first. I have spoken about my views about Donald Trump's economic policies. Let me just briefly tell you what they are again. I don't think his policy, well, of course, things change every day, but I don't see yet a coherent set of policies. So it's very hard to know what he's going to do. The things he talked about during the campaign were worrying to me. The idea of tearing up trade agreements, imposing tariffs, I don't think that's the way forward for the US or the world. And while it may be true that we want to help those who have suffered from globalization or automation, people who've lost their jobs, lost good jobs, I think there are much better ways of doing it than those ways. He also said he wanted to cut taxes on the rich. His candidate for Treasury Secretary has now gone back on that, or expressed a different view that while you should cut marginal tax rates at the top, you should also reduce deductions so that actually the rich would not be better off. But I don't know whether that actually represents Donald Trump's views or just Mr. Mnuchin's views. So again, judging by what Trump said, which was to give tax breaks to the rich, that seemed to me to be going in the opposite direction from what we wanted, which is right now I would be in favor of actually increasing the tax burden on the wealthy. And then, of course, there's also the issue of how one is going to fund the budget deficit, because he wanted to do infrastructure spending, which is something I am actually sympathetic to. Although when you look at the details of what he had in mind, those are not so impressive. But increasing infrastructure spending, which may be good because a lot of the infrastructure is in bad shape, but then also reducing taxes. I mean, that's going to lead to all sorts of budgetary problems in the future. So let me stop there.
Does any Dr. Holmström or any of the other laureates have any additional comments?
Let me say something. This is not my field of expertise, and I take a little different tack in the sense that uncertainty is never good. So we are nervous about that. But I would rather see what actually happens when he gets going, what he's doing, because he has changed his mind many times over. And even the Democrats said, let's see what happens. I think it is a danger to be very critical necessarily before the game has even started. And he will learn that actions that he's planning to do are not doable for various reasons, to the extent that with the speed he's planning to do it. So that's where I would like to stop. It's not if things get implemented the way Oliver suggested, I would share most of Oliver's views that I would not agree with those policies. On the other hand, there is an element that doesn't get mentioned, which is that we have been in a state of rut for quite a while in the world, and stagnant, low interest rates. The word we haven't had an easy time understanding. And it is interesting to see. I think his policies are going to, one way or another, shake the equilibrium, as we say. That is, I think something will happen that's different from what we have seen in the last 8 years. Now, it could be something very bad, but there is the possibility also, I think, that there could be something good, especially with regard to the investments in infrastructure.
Thank you. Are there additional comments? If not, let's move on to the next question. The lady over there, if you could introduce yourself.
I'm Marina Negra from Radio Romania Science Department, and I have 2 questions for Professor Holmström. First of all, you recently criticized the Finnish government for cutting the funds for education. The government said, okay, we took notice and we will make some changes. First of all, do you expect the funds to grow up again? And secondly, what do you think are the consequences of cutting funds for education in Finland? And secondly, you are also a product of, let's say, Finnish school. Is Finnish school best? I'm thinking about the recent PISA classification.
I think the Finnish school has been very good, yes, but as some of my research would suggest, it has maybe been lopsided. That is, they learn to read and write and they learn the arithmetic, as you call it, but not necessarily communication skills, broader skills, and that's a worry with all kinds of measuring tests. So that's an example of the kind of theory I'm thinking about. So yes, the Finnish school is good, but I think there is no reason to be very comfortable with it, especially with regard to adapting oneself to a more volatile world, and their communication skills and presentation skills are important. On the cutting Finnish taxes, I think it's such a detailed question, but yes, I do not cutting support for education. I'm certainly not supportive of that.
And the consequences of long-term?
I think we have to move on. Thank you. Please, the gentleman over there.
David Keaton from the Associated Press. This would be a question to all the laureates. And more than 2,000 scientists, including many Nobel laureates, have signed a letter calling on the US government, also President-elect Trump, to make use of scientific evidence, to use scientific evidence in policy making. In this time where we are facing global challenges, both medical and on the climate front, but also in this period where we're talking today about the post-truth era. what role can science play? And are you not concerned that science is maybe losing its place and its appeal amongst the wider population who might not be walking the corridors of our great universities?
Who would like to start here? Dr. Feringham?
Yeah, I like this question a lot because I think it is a serious worry. I recently I learned that people were saying, oh, science is also only an opinion. And this is scary. And I fully agree, we should do a better job in this and emphasizing more what the role of science and education is to bring forward facts and to distinguish it from fiction. And to make it possible to have new opportunities for the future based on solid science. And I think that is a big task for the whole scientific community to bring this forward to the politicians, but in particular to the general audience, yes. Thank you for this question.
Any additional comments on the topic?
I can comment.
Please.
I concur with everything that my colleague Ben Feringham has said. I'd just like to add that I think we should emphasize the importance of science for the young generation. I had the opportunity last week to interact with young people in and around the White House before a party of us, some of us at this table, 4 of us in fact, met with President Obama. And in the preliminary meetings it was clear that there was a lot of anxiety about the future amongst the Obama staff. But I tried to put forward a very positive message that come what may, and we don't know what is coming, the future is going to be very bright. That the situation in the US could be much shorter, if I might make a comparison with the one that's going to hit the United Kingdom, perhaps under so-called hard Brexit. The situation there could be, in chemical terminology, quite irreversible, whereas in the United States, one can look at a situation where a president can be in office for, obviously, minimally 4 years, maybe even less if something else happens. And I think the situation is that we don't know what's going to happen in the United States in relation to science, as in economics. We've heard many different comments from the Trump camp, and we have to wait and see what actually happens in real life. In the intervening period, I think we should move ahead in the spirit, if I can just take the chemistry prize this year, of the fact that it has been given to fundamental science. And that is what I think myself and my 2 colleagues are going to preach at this particular time in Stockholm and beyond, that we are absolutely delighted that it is fundamental science that has been recognized this year.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Then we're ready to take the next question. Who's in line?
I'm Maria Kotter from Dagens Nyheter. I have a more personal question to all the laureates. What did you donate to the Nobel Museum and why?
Please, early.
I donated an old paper of mine that had been missing for a long time because it never got published. And luckily, someone who had it as a preprint and worked on it managed to find it and return it to me. It announced it was giving the first ever report of some of the work which I got to write.
Dr. Kostelis.
What I donated was some handwritten notes which my wife managed to find from the garbage, because a few months ago she insisted I studying, so everything got thrown away. However, a few pages of handwritten notes were rescued. And the other item I donated was something that used to be very close to my heart, is a rock climbing guide to North Wales. Because I used to spend half my time sitting on cliffs in North Wales, and then the other half of my time I would spend either sleeping or thinking about physics.
Thank you. Professor Savage.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Well, I gave my notes of research projects, handwritten notes, which I presented to my group. Every year we used to have a special seminar at the beginning of the academic year to present the projects and the past projects, to know where we were. That was written on October 7, 1982, so relatively old, respectively old. And in addition, I gave the first publication of the project, which appeared a year later. And that was, I think, the first practical synthesis of a catenary, and I take the liberty to show you what a catenary was to
Molecular structure that's become very famous in recent months. So, Fraser.
So, if I can use the cliche, it's said that picture is worth 1,000 words. So I decided on that basis that maybe models of chemical compounds might be worth 10,000 words. So I took models that I've used since about the same era, the mid-1980s, to demonstrate catenation, the formation of catenanes, and then the other mechanically interlocked molecule that has received a lot of attention, the so-called rotaxane. And so if I describe this briefly, it is based on a dumbbell. This is the kind of entity that weightlifters would lift at the Olympic Games or some such place. And then it is surrounded by one ring, which can, in the case of the example I've given to the Nobel Foundation, the Nobel Museum, the ring can jump from one recognition site to another, and this is the basis for a molecular switch. You might be interested to know parenthetically that I was able to put these together not with my own hands, but with a very excellent workshop at the University of Sheffield in the wake of the period that the late Sir George Porter, who was a Nobel laureate back in, I think, I don't say the date precisely, about the 1960s, but he also ran a television series on BBC television, and this demanded, on the laws of thermodynamics, by the way, and this demanded that he needed a very good workshop, so I was very fortunate to be able to be in the wake of his providing the chemistry department at Sheffield with this facility. My last comment is I gave a third article, and that is a book that myself and ex-graduate student Carson Brune, who's now Miller Research Fellow at Berkeley, had written on, I quote, the nature of the mechanical bond, which is a play on Holland's The Nature of the Chemical Bond, published in 1939, and the subtitle is From Molecules to Machines. And it is a sheer coincidence that this book was published on the 7th of November, sort of halfway between the announcement on the 5th of October and the days that we're sitting here.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much. I gave 3 small items to the Normal Museum. The first one was a pair of small wooden shoes. And that's not because I'm from the Netherlands, or maybe it is. But my whole scientific life, I've been struggling with distinguishing left and right. And you know, when you want to make a rotary motor, you have to rotate either clockwise or counterclockwise, otherwise you don't have a motor. So that's distinguished between left and right. And when I grew up on a farm as a small boy, we had these small wooden shoes. And when you make the mistake to put your foot, your right foot in the left wooden shoe, it hurts so much that for the rest of your life you know what the distinction is between left and right. The second object I gave was a replica that we built of the first electric car in this world. And it was built by Sibrande Strating, a professor in our department in 1835, because electrolysis has just been invented, and he built with an electrolysis